If someone tells you they aren't interested or they don't want to talk to you, then stop messaging them. Men are not God's gift to women, okay?
Right. Hey yo, what is going on, WiSay Family? Welcome back to another video. Now, you saw the title. Things might go a little emotional here, but your boy came prepared. Alright, I got some napkins here.
Those are for you, right?
Right, yeah. Obviously, right. I mean, I'm cool crying. That's totally cool. But basically, I'm gonna let Tiffany explain what we're gonna be doing here today.
This video we decided to do because everything that's been in the news lately, and just based on how women have been portrayed and treated in society forever, but sparked by what has happened recently with the women working at the spas. But you have people coming forward and kind of talking about these issues, so we figured we'd use this platform and talk some more about the issues.
Right, and I think the most important thing that Tiffany wants to take this time to share with me some of her personal experiences happening in her life that I probably wasn't aware of. So we wanted to take this time to share with you guys as well. And obviously the aim of this video is to shed some light into what's going on and maybe possibly talk about better ways to go around when interacting with women. So with that being said, let's dive right in.
Yeah, and again, we figured like a majority of our subscribers are male. So I'm going to preface this by saying, like, if you're feeling, I mean, you shouldn't feel attacked by the stories I'm telling or the things that I'm saying, because I would hope that you're not the same as these men that I'm going to be talking about or that we're talking about. But yeah, so just don't think that you are being attacked. And if you are the type of man that I'm describing in these stories, maybe try to learn from what we are talking about today.
Right.
All right. I'm just feeling a little about this because there are some things like, and every single person, every single woman out there probably has a million stories just like this. So what I've experienced and how I've reacted and the things that I've learned or the way that I deal with things is not going to be the same for everybody. Okay. So I just also want to put that out there. But yeah. So starting off with something that I figured is kind of funny to think about as a potential trigger. But one thing that I know that I have an issue with is like things with when people are talking about, like, I'm gonna swear, resting bitch face, or like being told to smile as a woman. So these terms, like the resting bitch face, for example, is like a term that's very much targeted towards women. It's just like the fact that if I'm not smiling, then I'm a bitch or there's something wrong with me. I've actually been like told, oh, you need to smile more, or like I need to present myself a certain way in order to like appease a man's vision. Right. I guess.
And could you talk a little bit about, like, maybe in what situations is it, like, for example, is this when somebody is trying to get your attention, or is this when somebody sees you and in their head they're trying to approach you and have a conversation? How does that look like?
So it's just basically under the bubble of men telling women what to do with their appearance and how they look. But an example of this kind of touches on a bunch of different bases of how women are looked at or looked down upon, specifically by men. So there was an event when we were in undergrad, there was an alumni event where we had people coming in and talking about like the degrees that they got and what they did with them in their careers. Right. And my specific degree is, it kind of blew up recently with so exercise science is what I majored in. So there was like nobody there with exercise science except for one person. So I was like, okay, my goal was to go talk to this person, and it turned out to be an older gentleman. And like I approached him and was talking to him and just being polite. And the conversation, it wasn't really going anywhere. Like, he did not go for anything that I was actually interested in. He was in, like, the marketing side of exercise. So I was just like, okay, trying to just dip out of there as fast as I could, basically, wasting my time. But he ended up telling me, he's like, oh, you have such an eloquent way of speaking. Did you ever want to go into public speaking? And I was like, oh no, like that's not something I ever thought about.
Right.
And I was like, but within the realm that I want to go into, like, speaking is something that's important, being able to communicate. And when at the end of the conversation, like everyone knows I want to go for physical therapy. He decided to just like add a little cherry on top of our conversation was, well, if you decide that physical therapy is not going to work out, you can go into public speaking because people will go to your forums just to look at you.
Right.
And it was like, so the entire time, in the moment, I just didn't even know what to say. And he ended up giving me a hug, which was really creepy. And I just walked away. But that has literally followed me. It's been 6 years since
Right.
that happened?
Right.
And it's followed me, and it's bothered me, and it makes me feel like the entire time we were talking, was he just thinking about the way that I looked? And, like, that's all that I am, is the way that I look.
Right. So, a follow-up question with that is, what would you say to somebody that says, oh, it was just a compliment? Oh, we're just saying something nice.
Would they say that to a man?
Right.
That's the simplicity of it. Right. But yeah, so that's all it boils down to, is like the simple fact that he felt like that was an appropriate thing to say because I was a woman.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
And I mean, you can bring intent versus impact. Like, yeah, maybe he really didn't think that him making that comment was going to affect me negatively. Maybe he did think it was a compliment. I'm not saying that that's not where his head was. I'm not saying that he was trying to be, like, misogynistic.
Right.
Or sexist. But I'm saying that is how it affected me. And in this scenario, in this situation, the way that it affected me is what matters.
Right. True. I agree with that. And going forward, what would you tell this person? Let's say if you speak into this old gentleman right now, what would you tell him of how you felt that way and how you would prefer to have a conversation with this person other than them just complimenting how you look and saying that, in order for you to perform good at this job, it's just based on how you look. Nothing else. What would you say to this man?
I mean, in the moment, I honestly wanted to just be like, excuse me, like, what did you just say? But obviously, I know that with people that you don't know, reacting it with anger is probably just going to set things off more.
It's a lot more difficult to have conversations like that with people you don't know as well.
Yeah, because again, like, he probably thought that he was completely innocent in what he stated, but I mean, I would honestly just wholeheartedly tell him that don't look at somebody and based on how they look or how they speak, assess who they are.
Right. Absolutely.
Or what they're capable of.
Right. And I think we all can learn from that, right? Like, sometimes you just gotta think a little bit more of what you're saying to a person. Another point when it comes to talking to women and how they can be disrespected and just not acknowledged is when men are approaching women, right? Like, for example, you meet this person or you saw this person and you want to have a conversation with them. I feel like there's so many ways things could go on, right? Why don't you talk a little bit about how those situations go for you? Like, how do you handle them? What do you say?
Well, I guess I'll start off by saying one simple thing that I think the girls out there are gonna understand, but the guys might not, is I literally have turned off all notifications for Facebook Messenger, Instagram messages, and anything like that where people can message me, because I get bombarded with messages, or like people, like if I tell, like if a guy messages me and I tell them, oh, I'm not interested, they keep messaging me, they keep trying, they keep pursuing me, even though I've told them time and time again, like, hey, look, just leave me alone. Right. So I only go and check my messenger when I want to, because I would get so many notifications, especially now that we've started, like, putting ourselves in the public eye on a platform like this. Right. So it just, yeah, I just went cross-eyed. So that's one of the things that has happened, is just like getting constant messages, and when I say that I'm not interested, the messages don't stop, when in my head, if someone tells you they aren't interested or they don't want to talk to you, then stop messaging them. Right. Stop trying to talk to them. I've gotten messages from guys that are like just saying just gross things to me, and I'm like, just don't, like, leave me alone, I'm not interested. Or like, oh, I have a boyfriend, and then all of a sudden it jumps into a conversation of how, oh, I'm just being I'm being conceited, I'm vain, I'm so full of myself because I'm not interested in them, right. So therefore I'm the problem. Like, I don't owe anybody anything. I don't owe anybody a response. But society has made me feel like I need to, like, give people the time of day when that's just not the case. Yeah, so I guess.
It just even the ones I can think of, there are even times where you've gotten so many just horrible videos of people private parts, and it's the most despicable thing ever, and it gets to the point where she gets so scared to even open these things, right? And okay, I don't understand what these people are thinking. What is going through your head when you send something like that to somebody who doesn't want to see it, who hasn't consented to that?
I'm gonna say, if you are going to approach a woman because you're interested, like, do it with caution. I'm just going to say that straight up front. But in the times that people have approached me and they've, said, a lot of times it starts off as small talk. Right. Which is, okay, fine. Like, I think that that's a good approach. Don't, like, be like, oh, you're so hot. Like, don't, that's not a compliment. Commenting on my physical appearance is, or, like, approaching somebody because you think that you like their physical appearance, that's how most things, like, happen, right? I mean, right. I'm sure you decided that you wanted to talk to me
because I thought you were beautiful. Right.
Exactly. But you didn't walk up to me and be like, oh, you're hot.
Right.
Of course he took that one thing that he was interested in and then decided to approach me in a polite, conversational manner. I would say we became friends, got to know each other. Right. And then moved into a relationship. Like, that's how it should go. Right. But usually it's just like some guy shoving his number in my hand or asking me for my number. Or I remember when Snapchat, people actually did Snapchat. It was always like, can I get your Snapchat? Right. It's like, so you can send me more unsolicited photos? No, thank you. But no, it's just, I don't know. Like, and then now that I'm in a relationship, like, there's that whole other level. When I was single, it was a little, like, I would get a little less, like, defensive when a guy would approach me. Like, it wouldn't be immediately like, when a guy's approaching me and when I'm in a relationship, I immediately try to think of how am I going to slip in that I have a boyfriend. Right. Casually, because I don't want to assume that this guy is hitting on me.
Right, because you're worried now if you tell him that I have, oh, what? No, I wasn't trying to do that.
Exactly.
Right, because I've seen that happen. Mm-hmm. So yes, that's a good point. Go ahead.
And then, so yeah, there's the worry of, like, you're assuming that someone's trying to hit on you. I'm going to tell you 9 times out of 10 they probably are. Yeah. But you're making that assumption nonetheless. And then if you try to... So, like, I try to bring up sesay in the most casual manner ever. Like, anytime I can slip in, oh, my boyfriend, or, oh, yeah, we, or, the, like, yeah, I just try to do that. Right. because it makes it a lot easier to turn them down.
Right.
And it's like, even as I'm saying this right now, I don't know if y'all can tell that the wheels are turning in my head. Like, that just makes me so mad that I need to put this much thought into a conversation that I would potentially have because of the inherent reaction that I've gotten from guys that I tell that I'm not interested.
Right.
Like, that's one thing. Like, learn how to take rejection. If you're somebody who gets offended when a girl isn't interested and they take it to heart, try not to do that, because it's probably nothing personal.
Right.
There are women out there who love when guys give them attention and say, you're beautiful, you're hot, you're sexy. Like, I guarantee that there are women out there who respond positively to that.
Right.
I'm not one of them.
Right.
And I know many women who are not one of them.
Right.
So it's just, that's why you need to make the effort to get to know someone before you try to assume that you know them. I mean, and I guess that's kind of what it feels like, is like when a guy approaches me at the gym or out in public or on the internet, he's just assuming that he knows who I am.
Right.
Because I'm a woman, I guess, and...
Yeah, no, I think the biggest advice here, as coming from a man, right, like, I think it's just to keep the conversation very generic. Just keep that conversation respectful. And keep it genuine, right? Like, hey, hi, I'm this and this. What's your name? If they give you their name, good. If they say, oh, I'm good, actually. Then,
I would never, I'm just going to say, like, I would never, if somebody asked me what my name was, I would feel so pressured to, like, introduce myself and engage in conversation. Even if I don't want to, I would do it.
And yes, I can see that with you. 100%, because you like to have conversations.
But it's not even the fact that, I like to talk to people. I've been in conversations with someone who's been approached me, or someone who's just, trying to talk to me.
Right.
And I don't want to talk to them necessarily, but I feel pressured to. Like, I don't know if it's the way that I was raised. I don't know if it's like what society expects of me, and that's why I do it. But like, I feel like it's rude. It's I'm doing something wrong if I don't engage in this conversation. I wouldn't assume just because someone's giving you the time of their day isn't necessarily them showing interest.
No.
It's them being polite.
Polite, right. I wouldn't just assume that this person is single just because they're having a conversation with me.
Yeah.
Or it's an invitation for me to ask them out. No. Straight up introduce yourself, ask for their name. If they introduce themselves, hey, I would really like to get to know you a lot more. Are you single? You know what I mean? Like, something along those lines where you get a clear picture of where they're at. If they say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not. Right? And I'm not saying, oh, then go ahead and go ham at her. No, absolutely not.
Just because somebody's single doesn't necessarily mean they're interested either. So, like, I would even argue, like, I would be interested in getting to know you better. Would you be interested? You know what I mean?
Right.
Would you like to get to know me? You know, like.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Make it a conversation. If they aren't interested and they tell you they're not interested, the biggest part is to just take that with a grain of salt.
Right.
Like, you shot your shot, and that's all you can do.
Exactly.
You knew there was a chance they were going to say no, and they said no, then, oh, well, okay.
Walk away.
Thanks for your time.
Right.
Or, like, I don't know, don't say thanks to your time for your time. That's weird.
I mean,
it's like you just got done with an interview. But yeah, like.
Hey, what's your email so I can send you a thank you letter?
Yeah, can I send you a thank you letter? Oh gosh.
No.
No, yeah. I mean, you can even cross this over in just everyday conversations with people you don't know. It doesn't necessarily need to be a person interested in dating another person. Like, if you were just talking to somebody to become a friend, like, I don't think you would approach them the same as if you were trying to hit on somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
The end goal is the same. You want to get to know them, right?
Right.
So, like, why not apply the same rules as if you are trying to, like, you know, maybe potentially start a relationship with somebody? Because I don't know, I think that maybe that could be a good thing just to try.
Right.
And
Makes
then
sense.
eventually make your intent known. Like if they do disclose that they're single or like whatever, maybe make your intent known. One thing that I've been seeing on the news, and it kind of bothers me, I understand why people are doing it and I understand the need, but it's always bothered me, is there are women out there who are working really hard to make like kits and things like I guess you could call them survival kits, like tasers and knives and pepper spray, and for women to be able to put in their purses. And my knee-jerk reaction, like I feel like pondering it should be like, oh yeah, like it's so great to see women trying to help other women protect themselves, and you know, like, but my knee-jerk reaction was like, I do not believe that women should have to feel the need to carry all of that stuff around in order to protect themselves when they're out in public.
Right.
And it really got me thinking, like, I remember when I first came to the cities, I had family members like, oh, make sure you get pepper spray. Oh, make sure, like, they make little mini tasers that you could be carrying around. And it was like, they're sending me out into this world where I'm doomed to be harmed.
Right.
For just trying to keep it, like, less graphic as possible. But it's like, the fact that, like, they aren't telling my brother this. They aren't, you know, like, it's because I'm a woman, therefore I'm seen as weaker and statistically more likely to be approached and harmed. So it's like, now it's my job to, like, make sure I'm extra prepared in the event that someone decides to harm me. I don't want that to be the reality that I live in. I know that it is.
Right.
I can see that. I've experienced things where in the moment I kind of wish I had some sort of protection, but I still don't think that I should need to carry these things around.
I hear you. I hear your point, but you can also at least understand where these people are coming from in terms of like, okay, hey, if things go bad, this is something you could potentially do.
Yeah.
To maybe limit whatever harm you've been faced, right? And I'm not opposed to that. But not to say now, oh, it's women's responsibility to be extra careful not to do this or do that. No, absolutely not. This is men's fault.
And I can just see it now, you know, like, God forbid something happens to me. People start saying, why didn't she have something to protect herself? Like, it becomes my problem. You can see that all the time in cases where women are assaulted, physically or sexually. It always comes down to, like, what were they wearing?
Right.
Were they drinking? You know what I mean? Like, oh, were they leading him on? Like, it always gets projected as being the woman's fault, the woman's problem, but it's not a woman problem.
Right.
It's not.
And it is a man problem. It is, because we are the one doing the act. My thing is, we have to do better as men. We have to know how to interact with women. We have to know. Because a woman saying no, that's just what it means. No. You leave her alone. A woman say, oh, I'm uncomfortable. That's it. It stops right there. Oh, I'd rather prefer you talk to me this way. Right? And I feel like that's just, like I keep saying, it's just basic respect for each other. That's just what it is. In all, what would you say men should do going forward? All the men watching this video.
Talk to the women that are in your life. You know, like if you have siblings, sisters, if you have parents, cousins, talk to them and see, like, if you're really wondering about things, like, ask questions and try to learn from the women in your life. Just having those open, honest, real conversations.
All right, well, WiSay Family, thank you so much for sitting through our therapy session.
Yeah.
We appreciate you all very much.
We didn't cry.
Right.
You were supposed to cry, babe.
I was sweating, though.
You were sweating? Just not from your eyes?
Right. There's some water coming somewhere. But we appreciate you a lot. Talk to the women in your lives, all right? It's really important just to get their perspective on things. But with that being said, WiSay Family, we will catch you guys on the flip side. Peace. Bye.